What's up, guys? So I've been making a mold and cast of my Clone Trooper helmet, and I just want to quickly go over some of the steps that I took just to kind of show you how the process goes. So basically, the base is a cardboard box that's been taped together, and this wax paper is just put over top of it. I glued this down with some spray adhesive just to get it nice and even over the top, and I took the clone helmet and put it on top of some clay. This is air dry clay, and I just built it up around the edges. And the trick is to make sure that there are no cracks or air holes in between the helmet and the clay. You want it to be completely sealed off underneath, so that when you pour the silicone over top of the helmet, it doesn't get in between the helmet and the clay. So I've got the edges of the helmet all sealed up. No silicone should slip through there. Basically, like I said, everything on the outside of the helmet has to be sealed off. There can't be any holes. I cut out the vents right here, so those are going to have to get closed off, or else silicone will go inside of it, and we don't want that. The helmet did get a little dirty, and that's just part of the clay, so that'll come right off, and you can just paint over it anyway. Yeah, but that's what it's looking like at the moment. Okay, so at this point, the helmet is ready to be encased in silicone. The first step is to add some mold release to the entire helmet and the underside, just to make sure that none of the silicone permanently sticks to it. So next up, we're going to stir together these silicone molds while they're still in the bottle. You need to mix them up individually before you combine them, and then you'll mix them up again and then pour it on the helmet. So here we have both cups measured out. They are 1-to-1. It's a 1-to-1 mixed ratio, so you need equal parts A and B. So I measured them out, and now I'm just going to mix them together. The blue one is really liquidy, and the pink one is really hard and solid. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be like that, but we'll find out.
So here I've got the first layer of silicone over the helmet. It's very, very messy. It's actually much messier than the liquid plastic that I was using with the Pepakura model that I made that one helmet, actually that I made this helmet in about a year ago. That was pretty messy, but not as messy as this because you actually have to paint it over top of the helmet. Make sure you wear gloves, absolutely 100% necessary. Work in a clean space where you know you're not going to get stuff all over your stuff. We'll just let this dry for a few minutes and then we'll put on the second coat.
Okay, so here's what the helmet is looking like after about 5 layers. I added these little registration marks that will help the mold stick to the outer shell better. I guess I'll cover that next when I create like a hard shell around this helmet, and that will keep it in place when I pour resin into it. So these are just there to hold it in place better. But yeah, it's pretty heavy and the silicone is all dry. It's been about 12 hours since I put the 5th layer on, so I think it's good enough to cover in plaster bandages and create the hard shell. I'm also going to be molding the little vent piece on the front of the helmet. They go in here. I wanted to make it a separate piece because they are kind of a separate piece, and if it has like a very thin ring on the inside, and it would be very difficult to get the silicone in between if this was left in there. So I just decided to simply take it out and then, you know, make more and put them in after I recast the helmet. So next up, we need to apply this plaster bandage material over this. And this is just something you can buy at the hobby store. It has like plaster infused in it, but it's like a cloth. So when you dip it in water, as you'll see, you just put it on top and it'll harden over time. Alright, so half the helmet has been coated with these plaster bandages, and it is pretty hard. It feels kind of like a rock, but after this completely dries and we do the second half, I'm going to cover it with some liquid resin, and that will just make it even harder and add an extra layer, so just to make sure it absolutely won't move around. I've attached this cardboard piece. There's 2 of them, one for each side, so the plaster will attach to this side will attach to this side. And then when you pull them apart, this will help match them back up again. Okay, so now that the helmet has been completely covered, both sides, I had to put some paper towels under one layer so that it wouldn't all bond together, because this plaster and this plaster would basically melt together without some paper towels in between them. So that's what that's for. But next up, I'm just going to put some resin over the top of everything just to make it even harder, because this stuff is hard, but not the hardest thing in the world. But this will make it much stronger and help it last longer. Okay, so I skipped a few steps here, but I've gone ahead and taken off the whole cast and the silicone on the inside, and then I took the helmet out. Originally, it's this one. And then I filled the inside with liquid plastic. This is the same one that I used to cast the other helmet with Pepakura. So this is the same plastic. The only difference is that there's no paper model on the inside, which won't really matter, I think. The liquid plastic is where all the strength comes from. So I've already gone ahead and coated the inside, and now I'm just going to take it off. So as you can see, it's got a helmet inside. Just need to take it out. And by the way, these tape things are definitely not the way you're supposed to do it. This is how you're supposed to do it, with these like cardboard or wooden planks that go all the way around the helmet. But I didn't have enough of them, so I just used tape to kind of hold it all together, just long enough for me to pour in the resin. So all in all, the casted helmet looks really good. It's pretty much an exact copy of the original, so unfortunately it does carry over all of the imperfections, but it's still pretty good. Nothing you can't fix. There was some issues with warping, like on the bottom here. You can tell it's sort of pushed in on this side, and that can be fixed pretty easily with a heat gun. So I've done that a few times around on the bottom. It's mostly this bottom ring and this back piece that have issues with warping. But yeah, I'll get back to you and show you how it looks. So here is what the bottom of the helmet looks like after I heated it up and bent it a little bit. It's mostly straight, a lot better than it was before. But if it's not good enough, I can just heat it up again and bend it some more. There's no paper on the inside like in the Pepakura model, so it will bend a lot easier. So here's what both helmets look like side by side. We have the original and the recast. Now, as you can tell, they are like 99% identical. There are a few small issues, like one that I can see is on the side of the ear right here. It's kind of bent a little bit, whereas in this one it's more straight. But that can be fixed with heating up the plastic and just pushing it straight again. I did that with the vent pieces on the side because they were bent a little bit. But that's not a big issue. There was also a few small problems, like with indents in the vents, but those can be fixed with some putty. And if you want, you could even do like liquid plastic again, just pour a little bit in there. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out. Now I just need to figure out how to paint it. For the little vent caps that go in the side right here, I actually made a little cast with some leftover silicone, and I casted the ones that were in here, and I made them out of hot glue. This is a pretty neat idea, I think. Just hot glue, but once you paint over it, you won't be able to tell. It's pretty rigid, a little bit more flexible than this material, but like it's not flexible like that much. So I think it'll work along with the plastic. Yeah, you just pour hot glue in there and then peel it off when it dries down, and yeah, I think it'll work. So that's all for this video. I just wanted to kind of show what I've been doing lately. And if you want to see some of the tutorials that I thought were helpful, I'll link them in the description so you can check them out. There were like 3 or 4 different people that I watched tutorials on. Yeah, I just kind of replicated what they did with what I had. I wasn't able to make like a wooden shell around the hard case for the silicone mold. That would be ideal, but I just don't have those tools. So I used, you know, just what I had, and I think it worked out okay. So, thanks for watching. Bye, guys.